I am LaWanna Bradford. I am the Chief Operating Officer of the Bradford Group, as well as Principal of the Bradford Group Consulting. And I am so excited to be here with my amazing panel. And I serve as your moderator for today's discussion, Tips to Cope with the Holiday Blues. And before we get started, I would just want to turn it over to the panel to introduce themselves. And I'll start with Wendy Watkins.
Hello, everyone. Hi, LaWanna. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Wendy Watkins. I am a joy strategist, the founder of Mind, Body, and Business with Wendy Watkins, and an author and a compassionate human being that is all about supporting people in loving and living with good mental health.
Thank you. Thank you. Lyn-Dee.
Okay. My name is Lyn-Dee Eldridge, and I am your Chief Happiness Officer of the Happiness Jungle. I'm a mentor and an author and a speaker. I'm also the creator of the Cuddle Times, whether it's emotional support or paid management support. And I'm the host of a podcast called I'm Crazy, But You Can't Lock Me Up. And I'm here for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Teresa.
Hi, I'm Teresa Wright Johnson. I am with TWJME Enterprises. Stands for Teresa Wright Johnson Multiple Enterprises, because I believe we all have an enterprise inside of us. I'm also a speaker, a trainer, a coach, an author, and the founder of Mom Biz Boss, where we say moms are multiple operational managers, and we focus on parenting, motherhood, social awareness, and business. That's me, Teresa Wright Johnson.
Thank you. Vismaya.
Hi, everybody. I am Vismaya Rubin, founder of Living in Gratitude Today. I'm a teacher, speaker, best-selling author, but my favorite role is that of a gratitude gangster. What? Teresa, every time I hear you say moms and the acronym, something in my heart lights up, because I really feel like you nailed it. Moms are say it again one more time.
Multiple operational managers.
I love that.
Yes, very, very powerful statement, and it's definitely resonates in the truth and the multiple hats that we as women wear. And speaking of that, one of the hats that we wear is trying to deal with our emotions and stress and anxiety and maybe even depression during the holiday season. And today, when we're talking about tips to cope with the holiday blues, I want to just turn it over to you all as the panel experts to talk about what we do when we're feeling stressed to buy those gifts, and we know that we have more month than we have money, or we feel the stress and pressure of when we don't feel like being joyful, we don't feel like putting on that smile, or maybe when we're dealing with the true winter blues because the sun, we just don't have as much sunlight as we want. And some even suffer from SAD, seasonal affective disorder. And then lastly, which we know everyone, whether you've dealt with mental anxiety or not, has felt it means to be isolated, what it means to be alone, to not be able to reach out to family. And so we just want to talk about those feelings. So ladies, I'm just going to toss the ball to whoever wants to get started, and let's talk about the issue and give our audience some tips, tools, and solutions to make it through these holiday seasons.
So I think one of the things that I would highly recommend, if you've been watching us for a while, or if you're watching us for the first time, grab a pen and paper, because I think that sometimes you'll hear a golden nugget that you can throw into your mental health toolkit, so that and this is one of the things that Wendy said a few months ago that really just hit home for me. It's not if we find life's challenges, it's when. And this might be, the holidays might bring up all sorts of triggers for you. So jot some things down and have it in that mental health toolkit, so that when something like this happens, you have a list of things that you can go to. So that would be the first thing I would suggest. Some of my go-tos are affirmations. And again, it's not about saying an affirmation as it's going to change my world, but these are pattern interrupts. Like, it breaks up the pattern. So if I'm going, oh my God, I'm so stressed and I don't have the money, and what am I going to do? And I have to buy this one a gift and that one a gift, and pattern interrupt. The universe has my back. The universe has my back. The universe has my back. That's just one of the things that I use. So start coming up with the tools that work for you. As you hear them, try them on and practice over and over again. That would be the first piece of advice that I would give people.
Yeah, that's really good, Vismaya, because that the way we think, makes such a big difference of what we're moving into with all of the holidays. Just it's a hard time for some, and for others it's not. So one thing I will say is that is helpful for me during these times. Well, I'm speaking specifically to the sunless days you brought up, LaWanna. I'm actually getting ready to move into those. I actually have moved into those. My goodness, I've moved to Portland and the sun sets at 4:45. So it has been a game changer, and I've had to look at it because I do value daylight. So it's kind of pre-planning. So if you know that this is you and you've noticed over the years that there's a pattern, oh, why do I start to feel sad? You may just have these tools, as Vismaya said. And for me, it's having a joy posse, right? It's people that I know I could call at any time, and however I feel, they're going to be the ones that lift me up, that meet me where I am and that lift me up. So having those people in my life is huge, because sometimes I can get into my own head, which is the next piece I was going to share, because we all make stuff up, right? We all have an MSU, which I speak about on my show, Making Stuff Up with Wendy. And it's about being able to pre-pave and make up the good stuff. Right? To begin your day from where you are, not saying going from maybe feeling, not at your highest vibration and trying to get to joy, but even just making up that today, one thing nice is going to happen. My day will be easy and I will experience joy, as Vismaya was speaking, a different way of enhancing affirmations that you're actually creating a story of your day. And it just puts me in a different mojo when I pre-pave my days like that. And that all comes from, I think, having morning rituals or some type of anchor that you have something to look forward to. And that is most important for me, is having something to look forward to, whether it's a virtual coffee, a virtual dinner, a virtual whatever, because there's a lot more of that happening. And I think as much as I want to be with other people, there are some people I can't be with because of location that feed my spirit, or that it's just not right to get together. So those are the things, utilizing Zoom and having conversations like these with your joy posse and making that an anchor. I think that's going to help me in the sunless days. I know it will.
I have one question I want to just pose to all of you and continue this conversation, because I think it's very rich. I had a conversation with someone last week, and I really didn't know the right way to respond, because I didn't want to be offensive by saying, okay, come on, let's start being positive. Let's focus on the good, because this person just made this proclamation over their life. They said from August, which is their birth month, to January, my life is going to be a living hell. It's going to be totally depressing, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And I said, well, why do you feel that? And he just went through a series of negative events that have happened, over the course of his life during these months. And I just thought, how sad that he's already just named and claimed that my life is just going to be totally miserable for 6 months out of the year. What would you all have said?
So I'd like to address that. If you say you can, you can. If you say you can't, you can't. And I totally understand and can resonate with a darkness within us. But if you set your mindset that that's exactly how your days and your nights and your holidays and everything else are going to be, then that's how they're going to be. I would highly recommend digging into, again, personal development and learning more about you. Listen to mentors that you could resonate with. So you could go, wow, I can relate to that. And if they could change, I can change. But you have to have the desire to want to change or change your vocabulary. But nobody could do that for you except for you. So if you're living in that dark depression of a shell and you don't feel that you could get out of it, and you keep telling yourself that, unfortunately, you're right. And, you know, I come from the school of hard knocks. There's a lot of things that have happened to me in my life that I had to spin around if I wanted to have joy in my life. Who are you hanging out with? Who are you meeting? Are you meeting new friends? Are you beginning new beginnings? So people do not prejudge you anymore, but they accept you for you. Do you walk into a room smiling and inviting people into your, whatever your area is, whether it's 6 feet away from you or closer? You have to take responsibility for what you want in your life. And if you say it's doom and gloom, it's going to be doom and gloom. But if you say it could be better, it can be better. There is a program called meetup.com. Meetup.com is a social media path, right, that is on the internet. It's absolutely free. You put in your likes, whatever it is, whether it's hobbies or sports or walking or dancing or career. You put in what your likes are, the circumference that you are willing to travel, because after you put it in, these events are going to pop up that are going to be close to you that you can now go to and experience more happiness and joy in your life. But it is up to you to get out of your own way. And I pray for you. I really do. I understand that it's difficult, but how long are you going to use that excuse that it's difficult? So that's my input on that one.
That's tough love, Lyn-Dee.
Tough love.
Yes, it is tough love. It is tough love. And that could work for some people. And for some people, that may not be the answer. You know, LaWanna, if I was with that person, I would meet them where they are. I would definitely move into a place of empathy first, to meet them where they are and let them know, you know, that you've been there before, right? Because you probably have had times or know someone that's been there before. So one of the things that I've learned as a coach and someone that coaches inappropriately, that shows up and, you know, tells people what, you know, they don't want to be coached. They're just sharing something, you know. I've learned that empathy piece and getting curious with them and asking more questions instead of trying to fix, because people don't want to be fixed. And then guide them too. You know, once you find out a little bit more, then you can guide them to the personal development or the resource that is available. But that initial time when, if any of you are with people that you know are that are saying things to you that you're concerned about them, then and it's okay to just be with somebody and ask them, are you okay? Mm-hmm. You know, and I see you're a little low. I've been that way before, you know, can I listen? Can I be there for you? No, I'm here. Letting people know, I think, is one of the biggest things that we can do, especially if you're someone that's listening. Well, even if you deal with mental health or mental illness, we all care about our friends. Mm-hmm. And it'd be uncomfortable to ask sometimes. So I'm going to step back, but that's. And
I just want to say, Wendy, I totally agree with you 100%. I start with empathy and I start with love and concern. I really want to hear, you know, what is that block that's in front of you? And then if you would like, I could give you solutions on how to, you know, so I just want to throw that out there because I know I come off as tough love, but there's a lot of empathy and I care. I care so much because I've been there and I know the work that it takes to get out of it. So, okay, I'll be soft, but then I have to come into the reality world because I want you to step into your greatness.
But I think both sides are create the balance, because you have different people who need a different approach. Yeah. And sometimes the tough love is that wake up call. And it's when you understand who's in front of you, right? Then you can know, which approach is best. So I think they're both very valid. Teresa, I'd like you to jump in because you deal with mommies, and a lot of single mothers and just the challenges that they have. And what are you hearing, or what have you seen as far as their experiences during the holiday season?
I would say I'm going to answer both of the questions that you asked. So one thing is I remember and tell people sometimes when they're in that mode, because I do have someone that I work with that experiences seasonal depression. I ask them, well, let's change the conversation. What makes you happy? What gives you joy? What makes you happy? What gives you joy? And then we can talk about those experiences or those people or that tribe or that posse that one of you guys said or you ladies said. And then we'll talk about, well, how can you connect with that joy some more? Because it sounds like, sometimes when we get in our life, all these bad things happen back to back to back to back. So the expectation is everything is going to keep happening bad, but we never take a pause and take a moment and remember what makes me happy, what allows me to experience joy. That's one thing that I work with moms. So I work with moms from moms with little kids to grandmoms and great grandmoms. So this is something that I think is very important. And then I love what everyone kind of said is like, where's your posse at? Where's your tribe at? If you weren't talking to me, who else do you have to talk to that is helpful to you or positive to you? Where's your support system? And you know what? I teach people how to create support systems because we have to realize everybody's not a communicator. Everybody doesn't like groups. Their support system might be one person where I got a posse of 100, because you have different things for different reasons. And then with the holidays, I remind people, I actually am speaking a lot right now and training a lot about mental health, the holidays, and self-care. And one, don't get burnt out. There are too many darn parties. There are too many activities. There are too many gift exchange. There are too many secret Santas. You ain't got to be a part of all that. You don't have to be a part of all of that. And I tell you, don't bother me after the second week of December. I don't host any events. Don't bother me. I need a break. It's my family time. It's my time. And guess what? I have plenty of nieces, nephews, cousins, aunts. I don't buy all of them anything. That's not what the holiday is about. If you believe that's what it's about, that's what you're going to make it. And that's what you're going to stress yourself into. Create enjoyable moments. Yes. Create fun, like you guys said with the Zoom. The Zoom is wonderful. Or maybe go to events or, do arts and crafts. And it doesn't have to cost a lot. I just bought some Christmas puzzles the other day. They were like $1 to $5. And that's for kids, adults, or whomever. So we have to remember like those little precious moments. What gives us joy, what we enjoy. Love holiday music, turn it on. And the next thing is some people don't experience or celebrate holidays. So I tell them this time of the year, because even if they're not experiencing or celebrating holidays, this might be a difficult time of the year for them as well. Because I'm sure I talked to someone the other day, they may get bombarded with those types of invites and so forth, and they still have to experience things a certain way.
I wanted to jump in on one thing that you said about the gifts and stuff. Like, I am not a huge gift giver to my nephews. I'm an experience giver. But because of COVID, we've had to do things differently. And a couple years ago for my nephew's birthday was right in the middle of COVID, and he turned 11 or whatever. He turned 10, and I had made 10 little gifts that I wrapped up. And it was like a bag of kisses that I got at the dollar store. And I found notes on, you go to Pinterest, you can find a million things. And I would tag a little note on it, when Titi's not around to give you a kiss, you have a pack of kisses. Then I would throw in an eraser, reminding you that you can erase some mistakes can be erased. And then I threw in a bag of sweet and salty popcorn, not all of it was food, but the point is that each thing had a little something to go with it that I found on the internet that I didn't create out of my head. And I gave it to him, and there were numbers the way he had to, open it. And one of them was a crystal, so that was a little bit more expensive, but most of them were not very expensive. And the interesting thing is, right before I gave this to him, somebody else gave him $100. So he opens up a card with $100, and he's like, "Oh," and she's like, "Look, I give you $100." And I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like, so my ego got in the way. I'm like, he's gonna hate my gift. So I gave it to him, and I made sure he opened it up, like I said, in sequence. And by the time he opened up the 10th gift, which was maybe a gift certificate to a museum, which we still haven't done because of COVID, or a crystal, he was like, "Oh my God, Titi, do it again." So now every year, I always do little small things, but it gives them something to think about. Like, the other one, the little one is turning 6. So I have little tiny things, but it's just the experience. It's what we create about it. So I think that was such a powerful thing that you said, remember the experiences. And I've been writing down everything y'all said.
I love what you just shared with experiences, because at the end of the day, when they're older and they look back, okay, they know, okay, yeah, I got money or I got gift cards. But then when they think about, like you said, that experience, that fun time, like Madison and Mason and I, every year since they were 3, we do gingerbread houses. That's our thing. Well, they're 16 and they're looking forward to their time with Auntie Wanna to do our gingerbread houses.
Yes.
Oh, I love
I do the $2 bills. So like the 6-year-olds turning 6, I always find them throughout the year. And if it's too much to do $2 bills, find, quarters, like the special quarters, or find the Susan B. Anthony's that they don't realize are $1, and just whatever it is, you can be creative.
It's so great. And
one of the things that I remember, even as a child, it was the Amish friendship bread. Do y'all remember that? The friendship? Oh my God, right? That is so inexpensive to give out to your friends. You start the batter and then you give a bag, and they, for 5 days, I believe it's 5 days, they have to knead it and they have to, it's wonderful, right? And it's so inexpensive that you could have a lot of fun. Now, here's the deal. When you bake that bread, it is delicious.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. So the Amish friendship bread is a very inexpensive way to be able to give your love. And it really is a gift that just, you have fun with it every day, and then you bake it, and then hopefully you don't eat the whole loaf like I do, but it is delicious. Can I go back and just touch on something? Because this really did happen in my personal life. Not once, not twice, but the last time, it really hurt me. And it was trying to reconcile my marriage with my former husband. And he left me on Christmas. And he left me for for New Year's Eve. And I was devastated. No question about it. However, I thought to myself, I don't want to be alone. I was living in New Hampshire. I had a very, very big house. And I'm like, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be in this house all alone. So I called up a few friends, and I decided that there's this event that's called dream boarding. I said, wow, what if I could just gather a few of my single friends and they come over for New Year's Eve and we just do that? Can I tell you, 5 people showed up and we had such an amazing time. So you don't have to be alone if you'll just think outside that box and take your pain of loneliness and just put it aside, because how people treat you, you have no control over that. But how you react and respond to it, that's in your control. So that was my way of realizing that I don't want to be alone. And I have no idea why I am alone, but I am. And he left. I was devastated. So you know, when these things happen to you, whether you have lost a loved one or whether you've been left alone, you still have, even if it's two friends that you could get together with. Or I started to donate my time to like the soup kitchens, to giving out kids, you know, Christmas kids to children. I contacted these organizations because I wanted to be a part of joy. So the toy runs, right? Toys for Tots. I called them up and I'm like, can I volunteer to help pass out the gifts to the children? And they're like, absolutely, because they all need volunteers. This filled my pocket of time, so I wasn't crying and feeling sorry for myself, but instead I was giving of myself. So I just wanted to share that because there's many ways that you could be around people that will be grateful for your existence.
I want to ask you, let's talk about, you know, the elephant in the room. So we know with the pandemic, we've lost so many people. This is going to be the first Christmas for a lot of individuals who lost someone very close to them, very dear to them. What do you say to these individuals?
How can you celebrate their life?
So I'm there.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm there.
Yeah, we're both there right now.
My dad is November. This is going to be the first holiday season without him. And just going through some things in my mind, like, you know, I'm Jewish, he wasn't. So Christmas Day, we always spent Christmas Day together. And it was just a day that, you know, and I'm talking about it getting teary-eyed, but it was just a day that we did nothing and we hung out and, you know, whatever he wanted to eat, I made sure it was there, and we watched movies, or we did nothing. And really the conversation I've been having with myself is, well, what am I going to do on Christmas?
Yeah.
And for me, it's about creating different rituals, creating different rituals that are going to be just as fun, just as light, where I get to remember him, even though I can feel it, you know, as I'm speaking it, I can feel it, that will honor him, that will honor that time together, and where I'm not sitting, you know, in a corner crying the whole day. So being proactive, and again, having that list together, you know, like everything y'all have been saying, I've written it down. Instead of the Amish friendship bread, I'm making Jewish gratitude bread. So like really having something, knowing that may come up, and having a plan in place. So I'm looking for things to do on Christmas Day so that I'm not sitting in a corner crying and sad and depressed. And I know that I will feel sadness and I'm okay with it. And I know that I may shed some tears and I'm okay with it. But being able to know the difference between being, you know, curling up in a ball and experiencing what is normal sadness, I think is also very important.
Once upon a time, I was out of breathing room. I didn't know what it was called, but I love having a label for it. So if we can define it, we can address it. And so breathing room is that space between your current pace and your limits and your abilities. So in breathing room, it's really important that we have that space between what we are capable of doing and what our limits are. And it's a very important concept, and is catching on fire with our mommies and our women in our little corner of the world. And I'm so pleased that we will learn more, we will be happier people, and not so stressed out, and we will operate in the love zone and not the fear zone.
Giving myself permission to feel all the feelings, because it's My mom passed in July, and so I'm still writing that. It's a lot of firsts. First Thanksgiving, and I know what we'll do. We'll honor her. We'll talk about her. We'll have things there that she loved, whether we liked it or not, just because that's how we'll remember, and we'll tell stories, and that's how we'll do our best to go through. But I know there'll also be sad moments, and I know just giving myself the permission, not just during the holidays, all the time, to feel what you need to feel and allow yourself to move through it. So yeah, it's a tough time for lots. And one thing that Lyn-Dee said, which I think is so important, is that ability to take the attention off of ourselves during this time and give to others helps to cope with the holiday blues, right? Because all of a sudden, because you're helping others, you're not thinking about your own stuff, at least for me, so it's very helpful to do that. And there's so many organizations, large and small, even just sweeping your neighbor's porch or pulling in their trash cans can bring so much joy. So much great information here, ladies. My goodness. Thank you.
We're almost out of time. I want to ask Teresa this question, and the statement was giving yourself permission to not be okay, giving yourself permission to feel, the sadness, the grief. Teresa, what would you say to our audience? Why is that so important? Because we very often hear, let's chin up, let's suck it in, let's be tough about it, and we're deceiving ourselves, of what we're really going through. And I think compartmentalizing can actually end up exploding in other areas of our lives. So why do you think that's so important to just rest in those feelings for a minute and then take these tools and move beyond?
I was going to say, one, I have not lost anybody myself during this time, but I have friends and family members. But I'm a mom that has lost 2 children. I birthed 2 children in the month of December, and they both died at birth. So I know what it's like to feel a little sad sometimes during the holiday, right? So I think I want to go back to that experience. I remember one of the children that I lost, it was a few days before Christmas. And I was just going to sit at home and eat chocolate and just chill. And my ex-husband said, no, come with me. And I was like, no, I don't want to come. See, resiliency does not mean recovery. So pushing through doesn't mean you've actually dealt with things. And sometimes we can't deal with things. I know that we all deal with things differently, but just being able to unpack some of those feelings and letting them out, or at least having people around to support you, is very important, because you could grieve. I know I tell people all the time, I kept going through grief and I never dealt with it. And that can unfortunately cause some problems later on, such as the depression that I experienced later on, because I'm so resilient. I'm that strong woman that kept going. That's one reason you want to make sure to deal with your grief if you can. And if you cannot, find someone that you can talk to, whether it's a therapist or a friend or that tribe. It's so very important to deal with the grief, because many times people say, just put your head up and you can do it, but everybody can't do it by themselves. Or they could have looked like me. I looked great. Everybody thought I was great, but I wasn't great. So that's the thing. Everybody can't pull themselves up by their bootstraps, and everybody doesn't react the same way to grief. We all have different ways to deal with grief. And then there are those stages of grief. I would urge you to look up the stages of grief, because you can be in different stages at different times. You could be in recovery, and then you could be back over in mourning, or back, relapsing back into that grief. So look up that information to the stages of grief. Get the support you need. Realize not everybody can climb out of grief very easily. Many are still in it, and they might look a certain way. And so I just think that's what I would say, just from being that girl that kept going.
I'd like to add something.
I'm sorry. I'm going to let you add, Vismaya. We're actually out of time. I'm going to do a round robin. I'm going to start with you, Vismaya, to give your closing comments, remarks, and also let people know how they can get in touch with you. Vismaya.
Awesome. So going back to compartmentalizing, sometimes it's okay to compartmentalize, because I think sometimes what happens, and I've done it too, is life is hard, life stinks, life, sucks, and oh my God, all this stuff is going on. And really, it's one aspect of life that's not so grand. So compartmentalizing and really being clear that it's not my whole life, it's this one area, really gives you the power to, my dad not being here for the first holiday stinks, but that's the one area. It doesn't mean that the whole holiday season has to stink. So I think sometimes compartmentalizing could be very helpful. So how do you find me? I'm on all social media. You can find me at Vismaya_Rubin or livingingratitudetoday.com. That's my website. Would love to have a conversation. Would love to have some more gratitude gangsters. So find me.
Thank you. Wendy.
So much richness here. Thank you, LaWanna, for bringing this all together. And I guess my closing thoughts are, if you, the listeners here, know of someone that could use this, please share it with them, because it was rich with a variety of our experiences and wisdom and knowledge and passion around mental health. So many great ideas. Thank you. And you could find me at wendywatkins.com and learn about me there, or on Facebook as a people grower. So there you have it. See you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Lyn-Dee.
Permission to go through the grieving process of whatever that is, whether you lost a loved one or you're separated from family. And I also want you to give yourself a time frame of how long you want to stay there, and then reach out to those that you feel safe talking to. And that may not be your family. It could be one of us. It could be a friend, but just reach out and get out. I'm not saying that the pain isn't real. I'm not saying that you're not going to feel the pain. But what I do know from my own experience is that when I got out and I helped others, it made me feel better, even if it was just for part of the day. And even if I went home and cried for the rest of the day, I still felt good about myself. And I dedicated that time to the loved one that was no longer with me. So my name is Lyn-Dee Eldridge. I am your Chief Happiness Officer of the Happiness Jungle. I am your cuddle buddy with cuddlemelove.com. And I am crazy, but you can't lock me up. But here's what I really am. I'm your friend. I am truly here for you all the time, and especially during the holidays. So if you want to reach out to me, you can. And you can email me at wecare@cuddlemelove.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's just me now, LaWanna. So I'm going to introduce myself and how you can get with me and connect with me. But first, be kind to yourself. Be kind and patient with yourself. Give yourself that option, kindness. And at the same time, as Lyn-Dee said, be kind to others. It'll make you feel better. This is that time of the year as well where we see people being more generous and kind to each other. We need that throughout our day, every day of the year. That should help you some. And then find that support in your tribes or whomever you need. Hopefully, look at this replay. Look at this again and again and again, and take whatever nuggets you need from it, or whatever help book, whatever video, whatever you need that resonates with you to get you out of that funk, out of that grief, or at least supporting you through that grief or that funk. I'm Teresa Wright Johnson. I am the Mom Biz Boss with TWJME Enterprises, where I help people with their lived life experience and telling their stories and all that great stuff. But I'm a multiple operational manager first, a mom that cares about other mothers, women, children, and community. And of course, the business of all of that. You can reach me and find me just on social media at Mom Biz Boss or at mombizboss.org. That's MOMBIZBOSS.org. boss.org. That's me, Teresa Wright Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies. This has been very rich to our listening audience. We appreciate you joining us. Please share this. You never know who may need these words of encouragement, these stories of inspiration, and these tools and tactics to get them through the holiday blues. I'm LaWanna Bradford here with this amazing panel for another episode of Let's Get Loud with Mental Health. We wish you a happy, safe, and blessed holiday season. Be safe and remember, you matter. Bye, everyone.